Good morning, gardeners.
So in a previous video, I showed you how rabbits and squirrels have done some damage to my wildflowers, and I told you I'd show you the cleanup.
But more importantly, I want to explain why I will not be protecting these flowers.
I know that sounds a little crazy, especially if you know how much time I spend keeping the animals out of my other beds. But stick around and I'll tell you why. First off, as you can see, there's a ton of damage in here. The squirrels and rabbits aren't just nibbling at the flowers, they're completely bending them over and snapping them at the base.
I'm just going to go through this whole bed and cut out all this damage.
I'm going to leave as much of the stem as I can below where the plant is snapped so that hopefully I get some new growth.
Now obviously some of these flowers aren't going to make it, and that's okay.
The ones that do make it will come back bushier and fuller and help fill this space out. I actually started this bed by just broadcasting a wildflower seed packet. That packet has 20 different kinds of flower seeds in it, perennials and annuals. Bachelor button, black-eyed Susan, wallflowers, and all kinds of others.
There's a list of all these flowers in the description if you're interested.
But the reason I did that is because this particular bed has 3 strikes against it already. First, it's just my native sandy soil. I had to dig a hole to place down this green cornhole pad, and all that sandy soil just ended up in a pile right here. So hey, why not plant in it? Second thing is light. This part of the garden, since it's right up against the west side of this house, gets 0 morning sun, and from about 2 or 3 p.m. on, it just cooks. It sits in hot baking sun until sunset. The third strike is the animal pressure. This bed is farther from the sprinkler protection that I've set up. It's also more out of sight than my other plants. I can't see this spot from the house, and I promise you the squirrels know that.
So those 3 issues are the reasons for this experiment. Survival of the fittest.
Of those 20 types of seeds I planted, some of them will be okay with this sandy soil, some of them will not. Of the plants that will survive in this soil, some of them will be okay with no morning light and then scorching in the afternoon sun, and some of them will not. And lastly, of the plants that will survive those conditions, some of them will be attractive and tasty to the animals, and hopefully some of them will not.
So all of this devastation is really not a sad and depressing thing. It's just part of the experiment.
All I have to do is clean out the mess as well as I can and stick with it. The perennials that survive this experiment will fill out the bed, and by next spring I should have a beautiful flower bed that has proven that it can survive this dangerous spot.
And that's why I won't be protecting these flowers at all.
Any flowers I can have that I don't have to spend my time and energy and money protecting is a huge win in this garden. And honestly, instead of being upset about all the damage, I'm very excited to see all the flowers that are untouched and happy and healthy. So if you have critters in your garden, this might just be something you'll want to try as well. I'll keep you all posted on the progress over time, so subscribe if you haven't yet, and you'll be able to see what might work for you. So go get growing.